Sometimes your sanity, your peace, your destiny, your purpose, it demands that you disconnect. My name is Shalomith, and I am so excited to welcome you to the first episode of the Detour to Destiny podcast. This is not how I thought it was going to go. God led me into a 90-day fast, and the lessons I learned during the fast became the first few episodes of the journey, and I'm excited about it. I have a lot to share. I'm excited about sharing with you how I, you know, came to going through a 90-day fast. I have maybe a week and a half left. I got to check my journal to be sure, but I learned so much, and I really feel like it can be a blessing to so many other people. So that's why I am excited to come on and share. So, lesson number one, the first lesson, right, is that sometimes we have to disconnect. To share my story with you, I was in a place where I was full of anxiety, constantly on an emotional roller coaster, constantly felt confused about which way to go. Do I go left? Do I go right? I would feel overwhelmed. It felt like my life was on this train track, like this fast paced train, and everything decisions were being made for me, and I couldn't keep up with the decisions. I was making decisions and commitments, and just constantly making a mess, moving full speed ahead, in relationships that I just shouldn't have been in, constantly and one situation after another situation that just kept stockpiling the stress. Some days I would just feel like I wanted to cry and I didn't know why I wanted to cry. Other days I would wake up and I just would call off work because I did not have the energy. Like it just it I didn't have the energy to log on. And I work from home. So it's not even as if I had to drive anywhere. It was just I just couldn't do it. And I kept hearing God tell me, like, take a break, take a break. I'm trying to tell you something. I'm trying to tell you something. And I just kept going and I kept making a mess and I kept feeling overwhelmed and it just kept getting worse until I really felt like I was at a breaking point. And I'm on day 80 something. I'm not quite sure exactly what day I'm on, but rewind about 3 months ago, I called all my friends. I said, hey, I'm not going to be talking to you. I'm not going to be texting you. I'm not going out in any group environments. I have to fast. And my friends, they're spiritual. We're on the same path. They understood. And I haven't talked to most of them, really any of them, over the last 90 days. My mom, my sister, my grandma. I had to talk to my family on a limited um I guess you can say on a limited level, but not that much. I just needed total quiet. So the fast idea was a disconnect from all other voices, all other influences, all other people. I just needed to be quiet because I felt like I was going to lose it. So my fast was not a fast of food or drink. My fast was no social media, no TV, no radio, no phone, and no group gatherings. This is what I will tell you. The answers came along the way, but what happened immediately was peace, a quiet peace. It's like I could feel myself go, and that was an amazing feeling. Um, just peace. And I would say like the first few weeks, it was kind of like I was in from a storm. You know what I mean? Everything was just kind of quieting down. I had to create a Christian music playlist because that's another story. But I had to create a Christian music playlist because I only wanted things coming in. I just only wanted to hear from God. And really, the first 2.5 months, I didn't even want to hear sermons. I didn't want to hear anyone else's interpretation of the scripture. I just only wanted to hear God. I just wanted it to be me and God as much as possible. And what I will say is this 90-day journey has been so Amazing. I would encourage anyone who is feeling overwhelmed, who's feeling stressed, who's feeling pulled in a million different directions. You're in situations, in relationships you shouldn't be in. Whatever it is, stop. Just stop. I know sometimes it feels like we can't stop because it feels like if we stop, things are going to fall apart. You can stop. You definitely 100% can stop. You can stop. There's no reason that you need to be on social media. There's no reason that you need to watch, any type of movies or entertainment or TV. There's absolutely no reason you need to have phone conversations with, I would say, 99% of the people you talk to. And even the people you must talk to, you can limit it and let them know that you're on a fast. Stopping gives you clarity, and it took about a couple of weeks for the dust to just settle. I just needed the dust to settle. And I had so many answers. I had so many questions. I had questions about love. I had gotten to the point where I wasn't sure if it was necessary to date Christian or not because I gave up hope on that. So that was a thing. And I was on a downward spiral with that. Um, I had gotten to the point where I had all these business ideas and all these opportunities, but I was so far off course in terms of doing what aligned me with my core purpose. I had a lot of great ideas, a lot of great opportunities, but I could feel in my spirit that you've been going in the wrong direction for too long. A lot of times we take on every opportunity that's good, that's amazing. There's a lot of times we'll be presented with things and it's like, I got to take this because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, or we see it as being something that could lead to something else great. But the greater question has to be, yeah, this is great, but is it great for me? Yes, this opportunity is great, but is it a great opportunity for my destiny? And I had so many obligations, so many partnerships that were just not in alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter, I'm an inspirational speaker, I'm an author. That's me in my lane. But I was totally in everything else. I was 100% submerged in tech. I was 100% submerged in fitness stuff, even though that's all fine and it is a part of what I do, but it just wasn't balanced, right? Um, I was not centered. And when you go throughout life and you're not centered, you can have a lot of good stuff going on and feel totally horrible. And I had a lot of good stuff going on, but because the good stuff was not the destiny stuff, God was constantly pulling at my heart. And I can only go so far. The further you remove yourself from your purpose, from your destiny, from what you're supposed to be doing, imagine a rubber band, right? Imagine something that's connecting you. And imagine the further you pull apart, the greater the tension is. That's a built-in compass, I believe, that God gives us, and I could feel the tension. The further I would get out, it would be like the further the tension, and until I just had to whoop, I had to snap back, right? But when you keep trying to push and push and push before you get to that snap back, you feel like you're about to break, and that's where I was. So this lesson, the first lesson, I have so many lessons, y'all. So many lessons. I learned so much about relationships. I learned so much about Christian dating. I learned so much about um, being an empath. I had a lot of struggles. I learned a lot about anybody else who's listening who's an empath. I have a lesson that helped me, and I know it's going to break you guys free because, see, empaths, a lot of times we take on other people's emotions and other people's stress and trauma, right? And we become fixers. I got the answer to that. I got the answer to why it was hard for me to say no. I got the answer to why I kept choosing the wrong people. I got some answers and I am excited to share those answers, right? So tune in. Make sure I am going to drop an episode every Tuesday at 8. I'm recording them live because I don't want any bottlenecks, right? I'm not even going to pre record and do the editing and all that stuff because I also learned, you guys, how to enter into flow. So if you're a person who's been struggling with how do I, you want to get started, I want to get started, I want to get started. God gave me the answer on how you just instantly flow as you grow. Okay. What does that mean? A lot of times we try, you know what? I'm not even gonna fast forward. I'm gonna hold it. I'm gonna hold it. I'm doing one lesson a week. So this week's lesson is you must disconnect sometimes. And you know when it's time for you to disconnect because when it's hard for you to make decisions and you got too many voices, you need to disconnect. When you're feeling overwhelmed, sometimes you feel like you want to cry. Sometimes you feel mad. Sometimes you feel inspired and then you dip back down and you want to cry. You need to disconnect. If that resonates with you, if you're feeling like you're pulled in too many different directions, if you don't have peace, if it's hard for you to wake up in the morning and you don't know why, if you have this sense of anxiety, this sense of unprecedented like stress, that's evidence that you need to disconnect. And let me tell you, one of the biggest lessons from me disconnecting was that a lot of the noise wasn't even coming from me. A lot of the noise was coming from other people. I had too many people's perspectives. I had too many people's opinions. I had too many people's input, too many people's advice, too many people's problems. I was stressed out. And one thing that, let me tell you, one thing that I realized from disconnecting was that my life was perfect. I mean, when I actually disconnected and I wasn't hearing everybody else's problems, I wasn't hearing what was stressing everybody else out, I got really quiet and I'm like, man, my life is good. Why the heck was I stressed out? And I realized a lot of it was that I was carrying other people's stuff. So it's like a lot of times when people call you and they just want to vent and girl, let me tell you what happened. And you keep piling that on, and you'll be walking around with their problems weighing you down. I'm not saying that we are not supposed to support each other and that we're not supposed to be empathetic, but it wasn't balanced for me. And people were projecting their stress onto me. A lot of the fears weren't even, they had nothing to do with my environment. Another reason we need to disconnect is because sometimes we step outside of our environment and our imagination takes us into another person's environment based on what we saw in social media, based on what we saw on the news, and we're walking around in dread. I live in a peaceful place. My immediate surroundings are peaceful. I can't think of the last time that I personally witnessed something traumatic, right? I'm surrounded by peace. So I had to, when I disconnected and it got quiet, I had to ask myself, what the heck was I stressed out about? You know what I was stressed out about? All of the horrible things that were happening that I saw on social media feeds, all of the negative news that people brought me. So many people were coming to me, hey, did you hear about this? Hey, did you know this happened to this person? Hey, did you hear about the bad news that happened to this celebrity? Did you hear about the bad news that happened to Keisha's cousin? Did you hear? It was everybody else's stuff. And you carry that because you internalize it, and then it makes you fearful. It starts to feel like life is closing in on you. We're not designed to carry bad news. The word of God tells us to keep your mind on things that are just, that are good, that are of a good report. You can't keep your mind on things that are good, just, and of a good report when someone keeps constantly bringing negative reports to you. If you're constantly ingesting negative reports, whether it's friends, family, coworkers, news, social media, your mind is going to be on what you're currently listening to. It's impossible for us to listen and to not be focused on what we're actively listening to. So if 90% of your conversations are what went wrong with someone else and who's sick and who just, was murdered and who just died and who lost their job, all of that stuff, if you're constantly and what's going on with politics and how the whole world is falling apart and all of that stuff. And if you hear that 4 to 5 times a day, that robs you of your peace. When I disconnected and no one was giving me an update on the bad stuff that was happening in their life or the world, and I wasn't being updated on what was going on in the world, oh, peace happened. And when I looked around, and when you look around, if you're listening, for you watching me right now, I want you to do an exercise. I want you for any, especially if you feel anxiety, if you feel fearful, if you feel stressed out, I want you to just look at your own life, what's going on. And I want you to write down everything good that's going on. That's what I want you to write in the left column. And the right column, I want you to write down everything that you're worried about. And everything that you're worried about or that's making you sad or that messed up your day to day, how much of it is something that's happening to someone else? How much of your stress is induced by what's going on in the world? And look at your own life. Are you healthy? Or do you have somewhere to stay? Do you have a way to get back and forth, even if it's Uber or public transportation? Are you in your right mind? Did you eat food today? Did you take a hot shower or bath today? Did you put on clothes? Did you, put on accessories and jewelry? Did you eat good food? Are you see what I'm saying? It's like when I started to look around, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm good. I'm actually good. I'm carrying everybody else's stuff. Disconnect. There is so much power in disconnecting. And I just want to encourage you, you may not, start off with 90 days like I did. If you can aim for the 90 days, I encourage you to aim for the 90 days feels amazing. Oh my God. And I'm going to tell you, the first couple of weeks, it was just the dust settling. So a lot of times when we have sensory overload and we're constantly taking in, it takes about a couple of weeks, honestly, before your brain just settles and resets and realizes that, whew, okay, we're good, right? So lesson number one, sometimes we must disconnect. And when you disconnect and it gets quiet, you can take accurate inventory of your life. And I'm going to, even if you're going through something, you're going to realize that without everybody else's stuff and without all of the bad news, it's actually not that bad. Your life is actually good. If you're going through something, you'll have a lot more energy to focus on that thing without everyone else's in the world's 100 other things being stockpiled in your mind. Disconnect. Let the dust settle. Shut off social media. Don't look at it. Don't open it. Just don't. No phone calls. Let all your friends and family know, hey, I'm not going to be available. My family was mad at me. What was it? I think Easter, the Easter, yeah, Easter came and they wanted to have the family dinner at my house. And I was like, I can't be around people. I can't be around a group of people. I couldn't take in everybody else's energy. I couldn't take in everybody else's conversation. I just couldn't. Right. And they were like, oh, but we want to have praise and worship. We're trying to come over and I'm like, I can not even praise and worship because even in a church environment, and this is just me personally, but for me, there were so many different voices. I didn't even want to hear anybody else preach. I was like, God, I needed to be your interpretation of the scripture for my life. Right. So that's just where I was, but disconnect. So here it is. No social media, no group gatherings, no social events, no phone conversations. What else? No music, no TV. Trust me, you're going to feel amazing. And you're going to get immediate relief. God is going to start revealing things to you. He's going to start talking to you, and you're going to hear it so clearly because you don't have the clutter of all of the other noise and voices. So, thank you so much for being a part of the launch, right? This is actually the premiere of the Detour to Destiny podcast. I'm excited. I'm excited. Like I didn't know I had other plans. I got other interviews and stuff that I'm going to be bringing to you guys, but this came around full circle and I just felt like God wanted me to launch with this. So this is what I'm launching with. And I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I hope that the lessons I learned are a blessing to you, that they produce transformation in your life the way they produce transformation in my life. And I love you so much. Be blessed. And until next Tuesday. So next Tuesday, 8 p.m. live, right? It's Eastern Standard Time. Right. Eastern Standard Time next Tuesday, 8 p.m. I'm releasing a lesson every Tuesday. Love you. Be blessed. Until I see you next time.